Hi, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Mike Cluett. I'm your Ward 6 Councillor for the town of Milton, and this is your June 2012 video newsletter. And I'd like to thank people, residents in Ward 6 and throughout the town of Milton as well, for sending me your feedback on my website and blog and through email, mike@mikecluett.ca, on your thoughts on these video newsletters. Many of you are appreciative of it. It's an interesting way of communicating with residents. Not many elected officials are doing it, so I think it's something that could be done on a more regular basis by a lot of folks. So here I am with the June 2012 update, and we're going to start off with an issue that was pretty contentious over the last couple of months that affected not just Ward 6, but really it's affecting the town of Milton in general, and that's the cell tower application for the New Life Church over at the intersection of Thompson Road and Clark Boulevard. The application was made, and over the last 2 months or so, town staff as well as myself have been getting feedback from residents in the area regarding the tower. Some people had some concerns regarding health. Some people had some concerns regarding the aesthetics of the tower. It is a 29.9 meter tower that was being proposed, so it is rather large. It's in the form of a cross on a church property, so there were some concerns that were raised over the last couple of months from residents, both pro and against the tower. What I can tell you is that on May the 14th, the Administration Planning Standing Committee, of which I sit on, agreed with the town staff report and the town staff recommendation of non-concurrence for this particular tower. The telecommunications policy for the town of Milton essentially states that we would discourage cell tower locations within residential areas for a number of reasons. And what we also included in that report was a recommendation that interested parties at all levels, from Industry Canada to the telecommunications companies to landowners, come to the table and pre-plan where these cell towers are going to go as we continue to develop here in Milton. Just south of us on Louis St. Laurent, from Tremaine all the way over to James Snow Parkway, is the next phase of development we call the Boyne Survey. And we would like to have these telecommunications companies talk with our planning departments and talk with the landowners into letting us know essentially where these cell towers will be best located for the growing needs here of the people of the town of Milton. The demand for telecommunications, the demand for data services and cell services is only going to grow. So this issue is not going to go away. So we want to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to these applications. Over the weekend, I had an opportunity to attend the FCM conference in Saskatoon. And for those who don't know, FCM is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which is a group of interested and members from other municipalities across Canada, in rural Canada, in urban Canada, and suburban Canada as well. And we met in Saskatoon over the last weekend to discuss a number of issues that are important to municipalities, that are important to you. One of the items that was raised was obviously infrastructure, which I'll touch on a little bit later when it comes to funding. But another one was a very interesting and useful workshop that was put on by the Canadian Wireless and Telecommunications Association, which is the CWTA. And there were some proponents there from Health Canada to provide some information, basically talking about where these cell towers have to go and why they have to go in certain regions. It's a very interesting discussion, and hopefully I'll be able to provide a link to that workshop that I attended that you can view the information as well. So I do have presentations I'm going to make available on the website that were presented there. So it did provide some very good information. And after that workshop, I had a chance to talk to Bernard Lord, who is the president of the CWTA and former premier of the province of New Brunswick. And he was rather encouraged by Milton's stand. I was talked to him in depth about our proposal and our recommendation, and he is very interested in getting that started, to getting that communication going, and getting all the interested parties to the table to avoid these types of situations. So I was very encouraged by that. So right now, the town has said the proposal for this cell tower is non-concurrent with the policy, which means it goes back to the parties that are involved. If there is no compromise solution provided, it will go to Industry Canada for the final approval, and we should know something within the next 90 to 120 days about that. But stay tuned to the website for more information and more updates. as they come in. Another thing I wanted to talk about is over the last few weeks now, I've been knocking on doors quite a bit, talking to residents in the area. I was just over by Irving Terrace just yesterday, right before the rain started, which was quite fun. Talking to people about what their concerns are. Many of you have brought up road safety is one of your concerns. Many of you brought up infrastructure, which I mentioned briefly about the FCM conference. It's something that's a priority, or should be a priority, to all municipalities, especially a growing one such as ours, because we're constantly building new roads, but we also have to worry about maintaining our older roads. When I say older, the intersection of Thompson and Derry is not that old in the grand scheme of things, but it's now moving into the pipeline for repairs and fixes, and we have to have some more funding from the different levels of government in order to provide for that, so that way there's not as much pressure on the property tax base to make these repairs. So it is very important. One of the main concerns that I heard recently over the last couple of months is our state of our parks and the weeds that have popped up. And back in 2009, the province passed a pesticide ban and a herbicide ban for cosmetic purposes here in the province of Ontario. And unfortunately, from a spraying point of view, there's nothing we can do from a spray to get rid of the weeds. What we can do is a more proactive, natural way of weed control, and that's just making sure our turf on our lawns in these fields and in our parks are maintained properly, fertilized properly, and provide for a natural, more thicker turf, which is a natural barrier to weed growth. So hopefully we can do that. I've asked staff to send me sort of a timeline of what's happening in the parks in our area in Ward 6, and as soon as I receive that, I will post it up on the website to give you an idea of what is being done from a fertilization point of view, from an aeration, from overseeding, and other types of maintenance that we do provide in order to help control weeds and to make our parks as beautiful as they should be. And the final thing that I did want to bring up is that on June 14th, which is next Thursday, June 14th, at the Milton Sports Center, room number 2, starting at 7 p.m. is my second annual budget input session. And for those who don't know, the town of Milton has now begun a consultation process with the public. We want to hear what your priorities are. We want to hear what is important to you from a service point of view, what you want to see the town of Milton spend its dollars on. It's your dollars on what services that we should be providing. Is it more money for parks and for more maintenance of our parks and recreation? Is it more recreational services, more swimming classes and such? Feedback on our user fee policy as well is vitally important. Transit, are we doing a good job with our transit? Are we spending too much money or too little money on transit? These are the priorities we need to hear from you, because these are the services that your tax dollars pay for. So on Thursday, June 14th, and I'll have more information on the website, starting at 7 o'clock, Milton Sports Center in room number 2, myself and some other councillors will be in attendance to hear your concerns. It's the time for democracy. It's a two-way street, and we need to hear from you during this process. So it's vitally important that you get back to me with your feedback. I'll have a link to the online survey that the town has where you can provide your input that way in case you can't make it on June 14th at the Sports Center. And as always, you can email me, mike@mikecluett.ca. And my website, mikecluett.ca, has regular updates on things like this, our council agendas and things that are important to you here in Ward 6 and throughout the town of Milton. So I thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your feedback, as always, and I will see you at the doors. My name is Mike Cluett, and I'm your local councillor for Ward 6 here in the town of Milton. We'll talk to you soon.